Well, I do miss that, Kyle. Europe Tuesday. I think everybody misses Europe Tuesday. DarbyCast, Wildcard Friday. And today, I'm thinking about Europe Tuesday. And for those of you who have been longtime listeners, that has been a hole in your heart. Like, where's Europe? Where's Tuesday? Where's Europe Tuesday? And I'll tell you, because big news out of Europe, big news. Lot going on in France. Uh-oh, right? Yeah, you seen that? Seems as though people are getting a little upset about a lot. If you haven't heard this story, maybe you kind of zoom out a little bit from whatever you're interested in and you say, this could have implications. Central theme of what's going down in France is people are saying, hey, I don't like beheadings. Not one bit. And there's people who are giving pushback on that, and they're like, you just don't understand. And it's like, no, we get it. No, beheadings, we're not about it. We're hard pass. And if the government is unwilling to do something, I think you're going to get some Frenchmen who are sick and tired of being called white flag waving pussies, and then they're going to form vigilante teams. This is how it's going to go down. There's going to be some guy named Jacques. He's going to hang outside the Louvre, and he's going to find very intense people. Listen, if you're a tourist and you're going to the Louvre, which you're probably not, because I don't know how international travel works at this point, there's still probably lockdowns, and the lockdowns truly are probably more to prevent guys like Jacques from finding the right people than to save people from the coronavirus. Do you understand what's going on right now? If you're not tracking with this, just get out. Get out. Go lock yourself in a porta potty and be like, I stink. Worse than this porta potty. Called out. You just got called out. If your attitude stinks, go lock yourself in a porta potty and be like, this is where I belong. Boom. So, picture Jacques hanging outside of the Louvre, and he's like, I need to recruit a team. I love that about Jacques, right? Have you ever just said to yourself, not in like a work setting, but in like a, I need to go get stuff handled setting, where it's like, I need to build a team. You see that in movies, but maybe you don't see it enough in real life. Jacques, that's all he does, is he likes to build teams. He's a team builder, and it's not corporate. He's not going to take a bunch of people to a park and say, let's do trust falls and play the game. You can't touch the grass because it's made out of lava. Although that's a fun game, that's not what Jacques is about. He hasn't been about that, and he probably won't be about that anytime soon. But what he's against is beheadings. And so he goes to the Louvre and he looks for high culture individuals who appreciate Baroque art. Even though a lot of the best Baroque paintings and sculpture is in Rome, he's like, I'm not going there. The problem's here. We got to settle this. We got to do it right. Jacques is the kind of guy who will throw a coffee mug and other stuff off of a table only to throw down an architectural blueprint in front of his team and say, what is our entry point? Like, doesn't that just sound cool? Some of you right now are thinking to yourselves like, hey man, what the hell are you talking about? And that's an okay question at a time like this. It is. Beheadings in France haven't happened in quite some time. I feel like the guillotine was a while ago, but Jacques is about to dust off a guillotine or two and say, beheading is a two-way street, and the French people, we are no strangers to it. So if you think you're going to come into our country and behead people, boy, have we got news for you. We don't do it with swords. We do it with a very heavy blade. Team guillotine. Out of Jacques. What am I talking about? The stuff that matters, that's what. Boom, answer my own question. give myself a high five on that one, right? Kyle, you get it? Yeah, just give it a little. Yeah, state of cultural crisis where people in France and other places are like, we don't like beheadings in our area. And I just can't imagine being on the other side of that argument and being like, it's fine. It's Jacques. You're being a little judgmental. Can you imagine being on the other side of that? And then people are like, Jacques, you're so Islamophobic. And Jacques, when he hears something like that, he's fed up and he's like, I do not care what you think. And it's like, bravo, Jacques. Way to take a stance. And Jacques and his team having that stance is somehow like politically incorrect. Can you imagine, like at any other point in history, if you had people running through your city, beheading people and running people over with trucks? Listen, this has been happening for a number of years. And if you're just waking up to this, boy, is this going to absolutely mess your day up. Let me put this into kind of some sort of perspective. Imagine if Jacques and his team, let's consider the counter side to this. Let's like just switch around some moving pieces. Because some of you right now are like, Jacques is so brash and out of line. He's so inappropriate. Let me put it to you like this. What if Jacques and his team went into Qatar? That's a very hard on the Qatar, right? And he just started beheading people because they weren't eating enough baguettes and they weren't down with him bringing all his friends there. This is a very unpopular take about cultural imperialism and the authorization of said cultural imperialization by, I don't know, idiots who are like, it's like, what's right? It's like, I don't know if it's really the job of a population to completely culturally hamstring themselves to immigrants who come from radically different backgrounds. Surprisingly enough, that's like a really novel take in modern day. It's like, how dare you give pushback to a completely different culture coming in and being super violent and desecrating your monuments and demanding that. Like, have you ever shown up to somebody's house? I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place with Jacques and everything, but this needs to be done. You ever shown up at somebody's house and then just started taking their paintings off their walls, throw them down on the ground, piss all over them, and be like, I'm here to stay? I don't know if you do that. I don't. You go into somebody else's house as a guest and you execute what are called manners, politeness, and kind of a reserved demeanor. You figure out like what's acceptable in this household. You go into the house and you behead some guy's wife and he's like, hey, and that shouldn't come as a shock that that's not popular. You go into somebody's house, you rip the paintings off the wall, you piss on them and you behead somebody's wife, and that guy's Jacques, you better believe Jacques going to immediately do damage. And if he can't do damage then he's going to build a team. And that takes courage out of Jacques because the establishment, for whatever reason, is like, Jacques, you're a piece of garbage. Is this really what's going on in the world right now? Is that people just show up places? I feel like I've talked about this on the DarbyCast before, maybe not quite in this context, but the absolute narcissism of people showing up places as guests and being like, accommodate me immediately. Whether they're saying that in a bratty, pompous way, like I just did, or whether they're saying things like Allahu Akbar. Listen, I'm not trying to rip on your religion. I'm just saying, I don't know if France should be governed by Sharia law. And some of you right now, actually like probably zero of you right now are giving pushback on that. But I don't know, maybe there's some idiot out there who's like, France should adopt Sharia law. And it's like, why? Describe to me why that's important. And like, it's fair. And it's like, yeah, I don't see how it is. And people are getting pretty pissed. Guys like Jacques hanging outside the Louvre, chiefing cigarettes, going so hard. Pack of Camels just gone in no time flat. Pacing. Talk about the absence of a Mona Lisa smile on my face because I've got a scowl. I'm pissed. You don't have to guess what I'm thinking. I'm pissed. Guys like Jacques just get shit all over. This is like a Europe Tuesday on a Friday, which is a huge treat for you, for me to deliver. It's a pressing issue. Here's a really strange phenomenon that a lot of people are having trouble understanding is that people from radically different backgrounds don't always get along. And apparently that's evil and not just the state of things. It's like, whoa, who knew that like people from way different cultural backgrounds, they speak different languages, they eat different things, they have different customs, they have different ideas about friendship and romance and family structure and all these different things. What if we put them all together in a confined space and then made them compete for resources? That'll end well, right? That's why Jacques is building a team. If you didn't understand a guy like Jacques up until this point, A, I'm surprised, but B, now that you know, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. People are saying, that's bullshit. You're being Islamophobic. And I'm going to tell you right now, if these beheadings were done by somebody from Vietnam, I think Jacques would have equal reason to be upset. I think if the people were from Italy, Jacques could be like, you pasta grubbing jerks, right? Like, leave me and my baguettes alone. Leave all of my people's baguettes alone. What a hero Jacques is for saying, I need to make a team. He just wipes all the stuff off of the table. Imagine a guy like Jacques. He just bursts into your apartment because he wants you on his team. And he just wipes all the stuff off of your coffee table, maybe a couple coffee cups, maybe the Darbyshire books, or your coffee table readers. And he says, oui, I want you on my team. What an honor that would be, right? To have a guy like Jacques show up, just such a leader. He didn't read any leadership books. Jacques isn't that faux leader who has no natural abilities. He's all natural abilities. That's what Jacques brings to the table. He doesn't need a handbook on how to be a great leader and stand up for his community. And he doesn't care where you're from. If you are coming into his country and beheading people, if you are from Iceland and you are coming in and beheading people in Paris, Jacques is not going to stand for it. And it's like, wow, Jacques, I don't know why anybody would have any reason to give you pushback. Jacques is just impervious to being called anything. He's sick of it. He's sick of it. It's his country. He grew up there. His dad grew up there. His grandpa, his great-grandpa. They used to milk cows. And now Jacques is milking grenades. What does that even mean? I don't know. You tell me, right? Some of you are saying, boy, this is really something. And I'm saying, you're not wrong. This is something. There's an intense hatred in Jacques. It's been boiling for quite some time. And he's like, why the hell do I have to trade in my baguette for all of the nonsense around the globe? Why do I have to take it into my town? Why France? Why don't these people behead people somewhere else? And it's like, Jacques, I'm going to take it a step further and say, why are these people beheading people, period, right? Cultural incompatibility. People act as though that's a rough thing to say. They're like, you son of a bitch. Cultural incompatibility? Never heard of it. People with wildly different values, lobbying for their own interests, willing to kill other people. I think that's what it comes down to. In fact, that is what it comes down to. in this game of life where people are clashing, you know what the law of the land is? Violence. Boy, that's a dark reality, isn't it? People like to tune that out. Yeah. What is the basis of all authority? It is violence. Whoa. That startles some. Like, no, everything can be solved diplomatically. It's like, tell that to Jacques and he'll tell you that's not okay. Jacques is pro-violence. And there are people right now in France who are trying to call out guys like Jacques and say, you're morally bankrupt, Jacques. Why don't you just tolerate everything? And Jacques, he's had enough. Jacques has had his fill of living in this multicultural hellhole that everyone told him it would be great. And then he's like, wait a second, my grandma just got her head chopped off at church. And that's like kind of the line in the sand for Jacques. I think about that often. When you push somebody too far, like what's too far? And that's a pretty deep limit, right? Where it's like, listen, if you cross this boundary, I'm not okay with it. What is your personal line that if somebody crossed it, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to beat the shit out of you? Do you have that? Have you set that? Have you drawn that line in the sand? For Jacques, it's you decapitated my grandma. I am now going to build a team. Boy, how terrifying is that for the establishment? Guys like Jacques just pacing outside of the Louvre, pack of cigarettes, offering said cigarettes to passerbys and being like, can I tell you about a project? Would you allow me to talk about a project I have? And it's like, whoa, how did you drive a guy like Jacques, whose normal job was Jacques like a window washer, okay? And then he is like, you know what? This doesn't matter. This matters not. I care not. That's what he says. I care not. Yeah. Wow. Right now, a lot of you are just maybe reeling and you're like, this is hate speech, you son of a bitch. And it's like, I don't know if that's accurate. I support Jacques. I support guys like Jacques saying, nope, hard pass on beheadings. I don't like them. Listen, Jacques isn't going into other people's countries and beheading other people. He has a right to stand his ground. That's my take. That's Jacques' take. That's not even my take. That's Jacques' take. Things have been really boiling over in gay Paris for quite some time. Doesn't get a lot of coverage. The yellow vest protests. A bunch of people show up places in reflective yellow vests. A bunch of construction workers, seemingly. But no, they're pissed. They are pissed at that effeminate pussy known as their leader, Emmanuel Macron. And Macron, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think his wife is like 80. And it's like, Macron, you're in your 40s or maybe your 50s, and you, sir, are a pervert. That's disgusting, Macron. Jacques is also not cool with that. He's like, that's not our culture, Macron. If you're trying to seduce my grandma, like, that's your first mistake. Second mistake is not defending the country from enemies, foreign and domestic. Meanwhile, Macron's being a bitch, and he's just like, who is right in this situation? And it's like, Macron, take a stance other than enjoying seducing senior citizens who are probably, they don't have all their faculties. Very inappropriate. Macron. That's what Jacques says on a daily basis. Totally disillusioned with what his government is allowing to happen. There's people in France right now who are like, but this is cultural enrichment. And it's like, is it? Is it though? Boom. The question that ruins a lot of people's idea of what's okay. And can you imagine listening to these fucking morons who are like, France belongs to everybody? It's like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Sure, the U.S. is like, everybody's bought in on being a cosmopolitan hellhole and being like, listen, the U.S. belongs to the world. It's like, you still haven't told me why that makes sense. Nobody's given me a good explanation as to why everybody in the entire world deserves to be a U.S. citizen. But I think that's even less appropriate in France. Why? I don't know. But it just seems way more inappropriate. People are saying like, but if somebody's born in France, that makes them French. And it's like, there's limitations to that. And that's like a inappropriate call out as well. I wonder if this is like what I'm saying, what Jacques saying, because like you're hearing it from me, but I'm just communicating Jacques. Okay? I'm just communicating what's on his mind. Jacques going to build a team. He is so disillusioned. He's just like, listen, I got to take matters into my own hands. When you've got a leader who's just obsessed with plowing old ladies and not kind of weeding out elements of society that are beheading people, doing lots of violence, running people over with trucks. I think there was another truck attack in Nice. There was something in Nice. There's something in Paris. There's something going on all over France. And the Jacques of the world are about to shock the system. They're about to Jacques the system, right? JacquesTheSystem.net. That's the Jacques network. And the powers that be, aka TPTB, they love preventing Jacques from forming teams. Because they know, like, that Jacques is definitely in the right here, where he's like, I think I've got the right to defend some territory. Because if Macron's too busy walking around retirement homes, waving his penis at any old lady who will give him the time of day, it's like, all right, got to make a team. Jacques can't really do it online. Because I'm going to tell you what, JacquesTheSystem.net is going to get taken down by guys like Macron. So what does that mean? Jacques is going to pace around the Louvre. Jacques is going to make a bunch of stickers with QR codes that just lead to weird websites that give coordinates, GPS. Then all of a sudden, people are going to show up, these meetup groups, and then you got hooligan gangs, or the equivalent of French hooligan gangs, which sound terrifying. People are worried in the UK about similar things. And who's taking it into their own hands? That's right, the soccer hooligans. But in France, they're not as good at soccer. So consider that, okay? What does this look like? You've got people in Western countries, in Europe, and some people in the US who are like, wait a second. We don't want to change our entire culture just because global travel makes it possible for a bunch of people from anywhere to show up. And the people who give pushback to that right now, Jacques, obviously, are getting just shit all over. People are like, Jacques, you're a piece of garbage. You are a piece of garbage, Jacques. You know the funny thing about that? Jacques doesn't give a fuck anymore. Jacques used to take things like that seriously until somebody beheaded his grandma. Imagine if Jacques saw Macron. What would he say to him? Be like, oh, my grandma's not sexy enough for you to try to seduce, so you let her get beheaded, you son of a bitch? And I think that's a fair call out. I think that's fair. Les résistants à la Jacques. Do you get it? I wonder which episode of DarbyCast will be deemed by these perverts who like seducing senior citizens, guys like Macron. Which episode of the DarbyCast will be deemed the most hateful? And it's like, Do I care? I don't know. Should I? Maybe. Should I not? Arguably. Maybe not. But it's not even about me, right? It's not. It's about Jacques. Put yourself in the shoes of a random French person walking past the Louvre. And you see this guy, and he's so pissed. And he's smoking cigarettes. And he's listening to a French adaptation of the song, We Didn't Start the Fire. You're probably going to go up to that guy if you've got 2 testicles. You're going to go up to the guy and be like, what is going on? I want in. And if you're not about that life, if you wouldn't approach a guy listening to a French cover of We Didn't Start the Fire who offered you an unfiltered hand-rolled cigarette, you don't belong. Get out. Get out. France is about more than just baguettes and cigarettes, and Jacques knows it. And there's a lot of people in France who know it. But there's an aging population, right? And so some young Frenchmen are going to have to team up. They're going to have to build a team. Jacques might just show up somewhere and throw shit off of a table and put a blueprint down and say, this is a map for success. There's going to be guys like Jacques popping up all over the place. They're going to be named different things. It's probably going to happen in most European countries. Let's not focus on the US. Let's focus on Europe. There are going to be Jacques equivalents in every European country where there are beheadings, where people are like, nope. And are you really willing to go toe-to-toe with Jacques or equivalent? Guys who actually give a shit about something other than like Starbucks and McDonald's and Fortnite? Who knows? I think when Jacques is on the warpath, you just don't want to mess with that. I think you kind of got to say, all right, Jacques' a revolutionary. And I think Macron is going to have trouble. I think he's going to have some trouble stopping the rising tide of Jacques. Is this like a novel take? I don't think it is. And I don't think it's like especially hateful. People would say like, this is hate speech, you son of a bitch. And I would just make the argument, you don't show up in somebody's house, take the paintings off the walls, piss all over them, and then rape and murder their family members. You don't. I think that's the line in the sand. And that is a deep line. The people of France, usually very blasé attitude, carefree. They'll let a lot of shit slide. But like eventually, line in the sand, they're going to say, we're not the white flag waving frogs that you have known us to be. We're actually pretty pissed. We're pretty pissed. There are dudes who are complete vaginas in France right now are being like, don't criticize other people's cultures. And it's like, dude, nobody asked you. Nobody asked you. Stop lobbying for other people to give up. Nobody's inspired by you. Some of you are asking yourselves right now, what does Jacques even look like? I'm going to tell you right now, very patchy facial hair and then weird glasses like the French actor Jean Reno in the movie The Professional, where he protects a young Natalie Portman from dirtbags. That's Jacques' favorite movie, The Professional, for a lot of different reasons. But if you haven't seen that movie, understand that Jean Reno nailed that role. Boy, I think this episode, for one reason or another, I know this will piss people off. And it's like, I don't know if your opinion's super valid to be like, everything's fine. Just give in to whatever happens. And it's like, no. Nope. No. Jacques' going to put his foot down. I just want to know what kind of music a guy like Jacques listens to. Is it Jacques Jams? Volume 12? Maybe that's how he starts his revolution. Is he just makes a cover album of politically charged covers of English songs. Maybe he just sings We Didn't Start the Fire as he paces outside of the Louvre smoking cigarettes. This is my prediction for what happens, okay? In a lot of places in Europe, is people will give pushback eventually. I think it's okay to give pushback when people behead people in your house. Novel take, I know. It's novel, but I think it's accurate. Boom. You know what? That's going to wrap it up for DarbyCast Wildcard Friday. I don't know how this is going to make you feel, because right now, Kyle is really pumped up. And if you're feeling like building a team, maybe you build a team. I don't know. There are listeners of the DarbyCast all over Europe, and maybe they just build a team. And I don't advocate for violence. I don't. But I do understand that sometimes it's inevitable. And there are lines in the sand that once crossed, very hard to uncross. But I'm going to make a really bold call here and say Jacques isn't the problem. No, it's the leadership that has ignored Jacques and Jacques' girlfriend. Wow. Who's even more of a force than Jacques. Boy, is she radical. Katrina. Very different from an American. Katrina. Like French, Katrina is very, very formidable. She is not going to outdoor music festivals and getting plowed in a filthy tent. She is wearing a beret and owns brass knuckles. And she is pissed because her grandma got beheaded too. Are you going to tell Katrina to not get pissed? Because then you're oppressing women. You're caught between a rock and a hard place. You could make the argument that decapitating an old lady is very anti-women and not a good call. That's an angle. So for those of you, the rare minority of DarbyCast doctors who are listening to this and are like, I'm taking the side of the people beheading people, just know that that's very anti-women and you are sexist. Get wrecked. Boy, to just walk into a checkmate like that, how do you do it? You get duped. Not by me, by Katrina, because she's going to be the one to call you out. That's another thing that people don't anticipate, is what happens when you've got a movement of Lady Jacques, a.k.a. Katrina's. Katrina, you don't want that. That's even more dangerous. For those of you who interact with females, which is probably all of you, you'll know that when a chick is on the warpath, you are in deep shit. The fury of a scorned lady, a principled Katrina, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said a principled Katrina. Listen, those just don't exist, right? In the U.S., what are the principles of a Katrina? It's like, I like taking Molly and drinking alkaline water. And it's like, okay. But French Katrina, you know what she likes? Grandmas with heads. That's right. That's DarbyCast. That's Wildcard Friday. Boom, gotcha.